I come in, sir?
Yes, come in.
Morning, sir.
Good morning. Please be seated.
Thank you, sir.
Are you fully vaccinated?
Yes, sir.
No symptoms of COVID?
Not so far, sir.
You may remove your mask.
Thank you, sir.
Mohit,
Yes, sir.
please introduce yourself to the board, highlighting your educational qualification and work experience, if any.
My name is Mohit Kasniya. I belong to Hanumangarh, a district of Rajasthan. I did my initial schooling from there. Then I pursued chemical engineering from NIT Jaipur. Then I taught physics for 2 years. My other qualification, I worked for an NGO, and in the last CSC 2020 examination, I was allotted DANIPS as my services.
So you are already there in the service.
Yes, sir.
So your training has still not commenced.
It will commence in next 2 days, sir.
Next 2 days. Okay, Mohit, now that you are a part of the great Indian bureaucracy, so you tell me, what are the challenges before the bureaucracy in India today?
There are many complex challenges, sir. I would rank first as a public trust, sir. When they see that the process the bureaucracy takes for like the documentation and things are when it's about to do things on time, it takes a lot of procedure, and it sometimes it get delayed. So that is one thing. Second is they are accused of red tapeism a lot of time, and that is also a problem when it comes to making public trust. So, and then there is of course maximum government problem, which our Honorable Prime Minister rightly stated that we need to transition to maximum governance.
Yeah, so you are by and large you are aware of the problems or challenges being faced by the bureaucracy today. Apart from red tapeism, corruption, nepotism, etc., etc., there are two areas which are really very disturbing. One is indecision on the part of bureaucrats, and another is your risk aversion. These two areas are really areas of concern. If the present day bureaucrat become risk averse, if they can't take initiative, if they remain indecisive, do you think country is going to progress?
Certainly, sir, we need to transition to one state where risk-taking ability is developed in the bureaucrats, and for that they need to have certain authority at hand when they are not questioned thoroughly. Yes, sir. For that, rules and regulation will be clearly laid out, no doubt about that. But sir, active consultation, active communication with the people, with the all stakeholder is the key when you have to become the risk averse.
But then don't you think Mohit, that's a catch-22 situation? If powers are given to bureaucrats to decide the way they want to decide for the general good of the people or the betterment of the country, then at times they start enjoying unbridled powers. And if there are no agencies, there are no to put a check on their activity, then there is a flip side is that only. So how to maintain a balance between the two?
So that risk will always be there, but that's what the bureaucrats needs to develop, this risk-taking attitude. So they have to foster that. And sir, certainly the social auditing will come handy in that regard, and clearly laid out guidelines will make them make their decisions easier. So I would suggest if there are bureaucrats who are to take decisions, so these are the parameters they should work upon. If they are clear by the laws, they should not hold themselves back.
Another problem which faced by the bureaucrats today is a perception is emerging that most of them lack skills. So that is why the government has decided to go for the lateral entry at different levels. So how do you react to this decision of the government to take people induct people through lateral entry, ask them to work for a time period, and then they go back? How do you visualize the whole situation?
So it's a very welcome step because we need specialists in certain areas, certain regards. They come with their experience of 40-50 years, and that's really important for bureaucracy. They'll be learning the new things, new paradigms that are not existing in the bureaucracy or were not existing before. So that lateral entry concept is very welcoming, sir. And regarding the specialism, of course, sir, the Modi government is also bringing this Mission Karam Yogi, where capacity development of the bureaucrats are being done. So as far as the specialization is concerned, sir, as long as we are equipped, lateral entry is the thing that we need today's paradigm, sir.
That takes me to the last question. Should we not go for one examination, one service?
One examination?
One civil service? Unified civil service in the country?
Sir, the civil service exam...
you conduct one examination, select people,
okay, sir.
Ask them to undergo training, rigorous training for 1 or 2 years, and then you allot cadres, departments.
Sir, I believe, sir, civil services is about administration, and an administrator has to be a journalist rather than a specialist, because he has to cater to the wide section of the... there are many stakeholders, there are many different type of people, and their ambitions are concerned. So he has to take the all around view when he is taking the decision.
No, this is not my question. You have not understood my question. My question is that instead of allocating rank on the basis of written examination and viva voce, you don't allocate rank to the 1,000 or 1,200 officers you want to recruit. You recruit them without assigning any rank, take them for a training, give them rigorous training for 2 years, and then depending on their performance during that training, their willingness to work in various areas, you allocate the different services. How about that?
Thank you for that innovative suggestion, sir. I had not much thought about it. But in this particular scenario, sir, still there will be certain areas where we will not be able to assess the specialty in like just 2 years, because we can provide them the domain training which is already there. There are many engineers, doctors, and management people coming to the civil services. So we already have that certain kind of specialty, but the training that the Indian bureaucracy is undergoing in the 2 years, it's more of the administration which we require for this large section of people.
So your suggestion is to continue with the existing
Yes, sir,
system.
my suggestion.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mohit, you are in DANIPS.
Yes, sir.
Right now.
Yes, sir.
You come from Rajasthan?
Yes, sir.
From Hanumangarh.
Yes, sir.
Tell me firstly the cultural importance of Hanumangarh.
Sir, there are many small fair and festivals are organized in the district of Hanumangarh, and one major is the Gogamedi fair, sir. And it's a small but very famous fair of Hanumangarh district, sir. And cultural wise, sir, there are few tourist places to visit in Hanumangarh itself, and there is one fort, and these are the things like that I can think of.
Okay, your optional is physics, right?
Yes, sir.
What could be the possible utilities of physics into the administration?
Physics as a science subject, it tends to develop the out-of-the-box thinking. You require certain amount of mind the surrounding thinking, and I think, sir, administration is all about creating an environment where no one is left out. And physics, the study of physics ensure that, because physics is coming from a Greek word, it means the nature. So you have to understand the nature of the things. So I guess, sir, my knowledge of physics would definitely help me to understand the situation from various angles.
Okay. You worked for Abhinav Jan Chetna Manch, I have seen in your DAF.
Yes,
right?
sir.
It's an NGO.
Yes, sir.
Any other means for enhancement of Jan Chetna or public awareness, in your opinion?
Sir, awareness, as we call it Jan Chetna, the government is doing the awareness campaigns. There are many, like you rightly mentioned, sir, there are NGOs which are doing that. Perhaps, sir, education given to the primary schools and these children, and then there are Proud Shiksha Kendra, where education could be given to the people of age and to young children about the various schemes, about what there are rights, what are their agencies. So that can be the medium of awareness generation. The newspaper Secondly, come good handy when it comes to the awareness generation, the ham radios, the different medium of communication, and certainly regional caller tunes, like we did for the COVID vaccine and for the COVID containments, and these things can come handy, sir.
Okay. You are a member of DANIPS, right?
Yes, sir.
You have any idea regarding the commissariat system?
I have just slight idea, sir. Yes, sir.
What is it?
Sir, they dwell certain different power from the normal systems of police. There are certain powers such as the power given in the Arms Act, and of course the ranking of officials are different than the other police system. They are given the power of 144 to impose these powers. So they are with the police rather than with the administration, sir.
Okay. Tell me some suggestions for human-friendly policing.
Active communication, sir.
Okay.
With the people, with all the stakeholders, and for that, sir, you need to find out what is their basic problems and how they can be communicated, whether it's in their language or in their culture or in their customs. We can find certain hints where we can establish active communication. Social media is also a great tool to do that, sir.
Okay, good.
Mohit, so welcome to the Dholpur house.
Thank you, sir.
Why is it called Dholpur house?
Sorry, sir, I haven't read about it. I will go and look into it, sir. It's an interesting question.
All right. See, Rajasthan actually has a plethora of heritage sites.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So can you name some important cultural sites from Rajasthan which actually have been recognized by UNESCO?
Yes, sir. There are 6 forts, heritage forts are there in Rajasthan, and few of them are Ranthambore, Gagron, Amer, and Kumbhalgarh. I'm not remembering the other 2, sir. And then there is Jantar Mantar, sir, which is also in the World Heritage Sites of the UNESCO. These are the things that I can
How many of these sites have you ever visited?
I visited Amer Fort, sir.
Good.
And I visited Jantar Mantar of the Jaipur. Other than that, sir, I visited Mehrangarh Fort, Jodhpur.
Interesting.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
So visited Jantar Mantar.
Yes, sir.
See, what was the logic of construction of Jantar Mantar, that too in the 18th century in Jaipur? And there are many other places also where it was constructed.
Sir, Jantar Mantar is basically an astronomical observatory.
Good.
So the basic purpose was behind to construct such places was to get hold of the time, like coordinate properly as into what time it is, and that's why they constructed it at the 4 places. Maharaja Jai Singh.
How do we differentiate between astronomy and astrology?
I believe, sir, astrology is about prediction. I'm just guessing, sir. I have no fair idea, sir.
Okay. And
astronomy is the celestial observation, depending upon celestial observation, finding certain things. So this is the
good. Have you gone through the Rajasthan tourism policy, which has been announced a year back only?
I'm sorry, sir, I haven't. I will look into it, sir.
You've not gone through that?
No, sir.
Okay, let us talk about the safety and security issues of tourists in your state. What are the concerns over there? And then we'll talk also about the major solutions towards that.
There are roughly 1 crore tourists before the corona times that footfall in the Rajasthan, sir. And the concerns are many, sir. To start with, the excessive profiteering of the locals,
Right.
and they are really bogged down by that. And then, sir, the language problem is there, the logistic problem is there, the connectivity is another major issue, sir. And certainly there are cuisine issues because Rajasthan, the major tourist places of the Rajasthan, they are equipped with all kind of cuisines that they require. But when it comes to promoting rural tourism or the village tourism or the off-site tourism, they won't find the meals that they are accustomed to. So that is also creating a hindrance, sir.
All right, sir. Is it a part of the safety or security issue for the tourists over there? Because my question was this.
Yes, sir. There was this instance. That's why I narrated.
That's why I also want you to explore it, explain it. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So it happened in the Jaisalmer, and few tourists that I could see, one of them got like a typhoid or something like food poisoning. So others was like really terrified to eat anything at that area.
Right. So, have you seen ever the highway policing on the highways of Rajasthan?
Oh, I haven't come across, sir.
So, why there is no concept of highway policing in our country?
Thank you for that suggestion, sir. Yes, sir. It could be a really good initiative to look into, because especially in Rajasthan, we have this connectivity problem, and then there are areas where is no population, nobody is there.
Absolutely.
So outsiders might get afraid. So highway policing could be a very good initiative. Thank you for that, sir.
Right. My last question to you is this: since you have a hobby also to work, in fact, with village-based NGO.
Yes, sir.
So, can a government run an NGO?
So the NGO is inherently a non-government organization, sir. So it is different from the government. They do not they do not have to go by the usual bureaucratic rules. So that's why there are certain times when their things are faster. They could go work faster. They can engage with people in their own manner.
So, what is your stand?
So my stand is, sir,
government can run or cannot run?
Of course, a government can do things which they like. They just have to pass a bill in the legislation. But I think they should not, sir.
They should not.
Yes, sir. When something is so diverse, why do you want to streamline it?
All right. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Mohit, can you tell me what is India's GDP in real, nominal, and PPP terms?
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Okay, any of them? Any of the three you are aware of?
The last data that I checked, I could it was around 140 lakh crores, or
So
2.9 trillion dollars.
Okay. So what kind of GDP it was? Real, nominal, or PPP?
Still, I'm
Okay,
very
so how do
confused,
we
ma'am.
differentiate between the three?
The nominal GDP is the GDP when we compute it to with respect to the last year, how much we are making, and the real GDP is when you compare it to the constant prices.
Okay, and what about PPP?
PPP is purchasing power parity terms, ma'am, when we compare it with the other countries' GDP.
Okay, in PPP terms, where do we stand in world's ranking?
We are on the number 3, ma'am.
Number 3. How much forex reserves we have?
I don't know the exact number, but it's roughly north of $600 billion, ma'am.
Yeah. So what is the composition of forex reserve? Can you tell me the components of forex reserve?
Yes, ma'am. There are 4 components of the forex reserve. One is the foreign assets, the gold, the reverse transposition. I'm forgetting the one, ma'am.
Okay. So when you say foreign assets, what all come under it?
The shares and the bonds of the different government, the treasury bonds, the government securities that the RBI occupies, the currency of the different governments.
Okay, so which currency you think has the most share of our foreign assets?
I don't know for certainty, ma'am, but I think it should be dollar.
You don't know for certain?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Okay. What about how's the Rajasthan's economy doing?
Rajasthan's economy as in terms of?
In terms of GDP, in terms of per capita income, or any criteria which you can think of.
Okay, ma'am. So the per capita income in the Rajasthan is it fluctuates between 85,000 to 90,000 per year for most of the for a general population, because it's a per capita. And the budget of the Rajasthan was 3 lakh crore, the recent budget that was introduced. And we have a fiscal deficit of this budget deficit, state fiscal deficit of 4%, or percentage wise it's between 3.5 to 4%.
So how do you think it's in the normal range, safe range, the fiscal deficit of Rajasthan?
According to the FRBM Act, ma'am, and that was it is on the right path. It's a fiscal glide sometimes, but they are reaching to a place where it is sustainable, that is below 3%.
Okay. Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav has been going on in India since last year. So what in the field of physics, any event was held?
I'm unaware of that.
You're not an. Recently, one physicist has been appointed as scientific advisor to PM. Are you aware of?
Sorry, ma'am.
Okay, he is Mr. Ajay Sood.
Okay.
So if you are appointed as a scientific advisor to PM of India, what would few of your suggestions be in the area of science and technology? Some lacunas which our current policy structure is missing? Some suggestions from your side.
If I were, thank you for that opportunity, ma'am. If I were appointed as a scientific advisor, I would go for the scientific temper, which is missing in many parts, like teaching physics not just in a theoretical manner, but in an experimental manner as well, from the school, from the starting of the school, or making them aware that the science is actually what we live. So they do not have to just cram it to pass an examination. They just have to feel it, and for that
How would you ensure that?
There are many activities, ma'am. Recreational activities. There are certain things about physics that I know, ma'am, that we can certainly perform in the schools. So that can be ensured, ma'am. And they are like very simple setups that can be installed in schools.
What else?
For technology, ma'am, I believe apprenticeship program, industry linkages is a must. The just 1.5 month training that is being done in the engineering after third year is compulsory. It should be made, the compulsion should be for a longer period, ma'am.
Okay.
Because they will acquire expertise.
Any other thing you can think of?
To develop the scientific temper, ma'am, there could be science-based quizzes and competitions that can be organized.
So, can you tell me some of the schemes to encourage young ones to take the field of science? Do we have any schemes as of now?
There is one Yuvika program run, and it's for the cultivating the space-based research by the ISRO.
Okay.
And there are Atal Tinkering Labs, ma'am. Atal Innovation Mission is going. There is Shreyash Mission, ma'am. There are apprenticeship program, ma'am. So these are the schemes that I can think of.
Okay. My last question to you: what role India is playing at Cern? How many scientists are there, and how do we have any say in what goes on at Cern? What is our position vis-a-vis there?
I am sorry, ma'am, I haven't read about it. We'll look into it.
Not interested in the biggest experiment which is going on?
Yeah, I was interested, but I did not look if there were any Indians.
Okay, then my last question to you. If I ask you to define your vision of India in 3 words, only 3 words.
Healthy, busy, and engaged.
Busy and engaged
are same things. So I would say visionary.
Visionary.
All of them.
Okay, so keeping busy in any kind of activity would do?
Like
if I'm busy scrolling my phone, will that be enough?
Something productive that is contributing in the growth of the country.
So do you think busy has that connotation of productive engagement?
Yes, ma'am.
When we say busy, are we saying we are productively busy?
When you said like vision for the India, that's what I meant. Busy as in they are like in the word व्यस्त in something which is productive for the growth of the country.
Okay, thank you.
Mohit, you are a student of physics. Can you tell me why light has a dual nature? I mean, what could be the reason for this particular phenomena to happen, and what are the applications because of this dual nature, the practical applications that you see in your day-to-day life?
The duality of light, ma'am, it was a complex task to comprehend. 100 years ago, it was believed that it is a particle, and then there were certain effects that we saw, and by Young's experiment, it was propounded that they are in fact a wave. However, the Newton's experiment suggested that they were particles. Later on, it was Broglie who said that and proved that they are both light and wave. There are certain experiments like photoelectric effect that we see in the solar cells, ma'am, and they are working on the principle.
My question was why light has dual nature, not how was it researched that light has dual nature.
I think, ma'am, because it's in nature. Every matter has a dual property. I did not look into why they have the dual nature.
Okay, anyway. Okay, tell me, how do you see the duality of light in your day-to-day life? Just give me an example and show which part of light this particular phenomena shows.
Okay, ma'am. The one example that I mentioned is the photoelectric effect. We can see the light's particle nature. And the spectrum that we see, we use the electromagnetic spectrum, it is explained by the wave nature, from the gamma rays to all the way down to the microwaves. And other than that, ma'am, the Compton effect that we see, the scattering of lights, it is explained by the wave nature. The blue sky that we see is explained by the wave nature of the light. These are the things that I can think of in the daily life.
Okay. Why friction is called a necessary evil? Because I'm sure if we actually didn't have friction from the word go, we would have, evolved around that idea. Do you really think that friction is a necessary evil? Like if we go to the moon or space, there is no friction. And we actually manage quite well the astronauts who go there because they kind of adapt themselves to that environment.
Friction, I believe, ma'am, is a necessary evil because it is a kind of a hurdle that makes you improvise yourself to friction in anything. To improvise yourself to make decisions based upon the constraints. So if there are no constraints, then people will not be able to realize
if friction is not there, there would be other kind of constraints. We definitely find certain constraints when astronauts go to space.
Maybe, ma'am. I was following as friction is just constraints.
Okay, no problem. Why the islands these days are in news internationally? There are two islands which have been in news in last 1 week.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
The Kuril Islands and Solomon Island.
I don't know the exact location of Solomon, but Kuril is in the Pacific in the east. And
between whom is the dispute for Kuril Islands?
I do not know for sure, but it should be Russia and Japan.
Yeah, you are right. And with whom? Right now, who has the sovereignty over Kuril Islands?
I have no idea, ma'am.
No idea. Okay, what is the difference between central bank digital currency and cryptocurrency?
To begin with, ma'am, it is a centralized currency, CBDC, and it will be managed. It will be a legal tender. It will be managed by a central bank, so the currency fluctuation can be managed. Whereas the cryptocurrency, it's a decentralized ledger. So these are the main differences, and the fluctuation in the cryptocurrency cannot be managed by outsider. It's based on blockchain, so everything is interconnected. Whereas CBDC, the central bank will have the power to manage the fluctuations.
Okay, do you know of any country who has completely switched to digital currency, central bank digital currency?
Recently, ma'am, Venezuela has declared that they will be introducing a cryptocurrency, Petra. And
cryptocurrency or CBDC?
Okay, so that I'm unaware of. Thank you for.
Okay, my last question to you, it's an easy one. Why your email ID has this tangible compassion? Can compassion be tangible?
Ma'am, I naively put it when I was preparing, so I did not had proper reasoning behind it, but as in compassion, yes, ma'am, when you put it to you want to achieve something which you greatly believe in, your compassion could be tangible, as in not literal sense, but people could say that you are working hard for it. And there was one time in my life as well where it was I could feel that this was tangible. I worked for this. Financial irregularities were there in the accounts of farmer for KCC payment, and it took me 6 months for just 15 farmers to correct that. So I felt that it could be possible.
Okay. Thank you, Mohit.
Mohit.
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by PPP apart from purchasing power parity?
Public-private partnership, sir.
What are the advantages of PPP?
There are many advantages, sir. First, the resources for the public with the public are limited, so the private investment could come in. Then there will be technical expertise, sir. There will be expertise when it comes to when there are stalled projects. We can always chart out a different plan for the resolution. And then, sir, the management could be transferred to the whosoever is more capable, whether it's public or private. So these are the benefits, 3-4 benefits that comes with the PPP.
What are the areas in the police department where this model could be tried?
I believe, sir, in infrastructural capacities.
Okay.
It could be tried constructing
infrastructure is one. Apart from infrastructure, can you think of any other area?
So traffic police, and that is also infrastructure, installing cameras.
Anyway, Thank you, Mohit. Thank you very much. It was nice talking to you. Your interview is over. You may go now. Sit, Mohit.
Thank you, sir.
So, how was it?
ठीक ठाक लगा सर.
ठीक ठाक laga. Okay. You qualified last year.
जी सर.
So how much did you get in the interview?
146.
Very poor marks. You deserve much better marks.
Thank you, sir.
You should not be getting such a low marks. Because our assessment is that you should be in the range of at least 180 to 190 marks. Or 2-3 things you are already there in the service. So this time orientation may get changed during your interview, and some questions related to the working of the government with particular reference to the Department of Police. That is very important. So, interview is on 12th, I see. So 12th, a lot of time is there for you. Whatever time you are there at your disposal, please go through the working of police department. Questions may be asked to you regarding police reforms, Criminal Procedure Identification Act, Jahangir Puri, so many issues are there. So there you have to firm up your mind. Don't prepare an opinion which is biased. It has to be a very neutral opinion, and say what are the issues with the police department, and what is the way forward. The police reforms questions may be asked. The Police Act questions may be asked on the Police Act. So main area, my suggestion to you is that anything and everything related to the working of police department, try to please
जी sir.
update your information. Then physics is your subject. So physics generally one is your opinion based questions may be asked, your theory based questions may be asked, and as one of our colleagues asked you what is happening in the field of science, who is Mr. Sood and all that, that kind of information is expected of you, as because you have opted for physics as your optional paper. Then Dholpur House, you are from Rajasthan, is a famous place. So Dholpur House, I mean, you must be aware, it might have. So
I was not inclined to take a guess because
that's always good. That is what I tell everyone. Out of 8-10 questions, if you don't know 7, candidly admit, sir, I don't know. Instead of getting into area of guessing and all that, it's always better to admit, because then that reflects your personality, how honest you are. Integrity is the hallmark of a civil servant. So if you don't know, you don't know. But wherever you know, you have to be firm in your views.
Yes, sir.
You have to be very confident, maintaining your cool and calm. That is what is important. Then, like one question was NGO. Can government open an NGO? So what was your response? Just think it over.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it? So such type of sweeping statements avoid. You know, the job of government is not to open NGO and all that, isn't it? So these are fundamental things. Otherwise, you are a wonderful candidate, and listen to the questions first. That is also a very important. Listening is a very important attribute of a civil servant. Unless and until you listen to the people's grievances, how will you address their concerns, isn't it?
Sir.
So questions, like I asked you some question, probably you could not get the feel of it. So then you, when you understood, then you came out with your argument, whatever it is. Argument is fine. You are entitled to have your opinion. There can be many opinions on such type of questions. You had one opinion, that is all right.
कई बार क्वेश्चन सर बहुत ज़्यादा लंबा होता है और वो ढंग से समझ में नहीं आता और दोबारा पूछ लें और फिर कहते हैं आई डोंट नो.
नहीं, फोकस कर लो. मेंटल फैकल्टीज को काफ़ी ये रखो, अटेंशन में रखो उसको.
जी सर.
और दूसरा, बार बार यू आर सेइंग थैंक यू फॉर योर सजेस्टिंग दिस. हैज एनीबडी एडवाइज्ड यू और दिस इज योर ओन इन्वेंशन? Tell me clearly. I mean, you think that this is the way you should be?
No, I don't think so. But I was told. I was like.
I thought so. You must have been told. Once it's all right, but every third question if you say thank you for suggestion, it at times becomes irritating, isn't it? So you just use your discretion to speak this language as and when required. So discretion is the best thing. When you feel strongly that I should be using it, but don't make it as a habit. That's what we ought to tell you. Otherwise, the last time you got a very poor marks. You don't deserve such poor marks.
Sir, last 2 times, it's my 5th interview, sir.
So 5th interview. Every time you...
No, sir. Like I was scoring 170 above, but then the last 2 times 150 and 146.
Those 2 days must have been bad days in your career. That's what I can tell you. Because 180, 190, I told you, you deserve 180,
Thank you so
190.
much, sir.
And this time, God willing, with our blessings, you'll get 180. And
Thank you so much.
You'll achieve your dream, isn't it? Okay,
I
all the
hope so,
best.
sir.
All the best to you.
Thank you. Thanks.